Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah, yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to the X Camp Education Forum. And this time we invited the IOI Gold Medalist X Camp student.
Hey everyone,
Brian
welcome to the X Camp Education.
Sorry, there was some technical difficulty. So we'll wait for 1 more minute, wait for more parents to join before we begin. Hey everyone, my name is Yuan and I'm the co-founder of X Camp. Today we are very glad to have Brian Xue here. He is the IOI Gold Medalist, and he ranked the third globally in the IOI International Olympiad in informatics. And the competition was just 2 weeks ago. And he was also ranked #1 in the US team as well. Brian, you want to quickly say hello to everyone?
Oh, hi everybody. I'm Brian. Yeah.
So at the very beginning, we'll quickly play a video to introduce X Camp. Some parents, they don't know X Camp yet.
Computer science and artificial intelligence are tools that will change the future. X Camp Academy is a community dedicated to inspiring and cultivating the next generation of computer science and artificial intelligence talent. X Camp Academy was founded in August 2017 in Silicon Valley by 2 Google software engineers. The name X Camp was inspired by the variable X, which represents unlimited opportunities. X Camp's curriculum system and training methodology is inherited from Mr. Xin You Dui, a Chinese diamond-level international gold medal coach. Our staff here in the US is mostly composed of senior software engineers from tech companies in Silicon Valley and prestigious CS students from top universities. In addition, we have strong support from international and domestic competition winners in our coach team. From beginner-level Python to classic C++ courses and competition honors courses, X Camp's curriculum is designed for students of all different levels. By participating in team-based competitions and facilitating frequent group study sessions, XCamp also fosters an environment of collaboration to build each student's confidence in their ability to code. As of mid-2024, more than 300 XCamp students have reached the USACO Silver Division and above, including 60 in the Platinum Division, and 27 were selected in the US and Canada national camps, out of which 15 were fresh in the 2024 season and 2 were selected for the US national team. In renowned high school contests, more than 300 XCamp students have reached the USACO Silver Division and above, including 60 in the Platinum Division, and 27 were selected in the US and Canada national camps, out of which 15 were fresh in the 2024 season and 2 were selected for the US national team. In renowned high school contests, Stanford's Procol and UC Berkeley's Calico, and other prestigious US programming competitions, such as the Harvard Programming Invitational, Teams Code, and Lexington Informatics Tournament, XCamp students perform well, and we encourage students from being participants to problem writers and organizers. Our students received 13 MIT offers and many more from Stanford and UC Berkeley, thrilling us all. Here at XCamp, we believe that children have unlimited potential and can change the world through coding.
Okay, so next page. So today we are glad to have Brian here. As I said, he won the IOI Gold Medal this year. He ranked the third globally, and he was the USACO finalist this year and last year. Right now he's 11th grade, and he has been with XCamp for 3 years. He goes to the Lynbrook High School in California, Silicon Valley. Actually, right now, I think he is 12 now. Okay. So today we will have a kind of a discussion format to go over the journeys of his IOI and the USACO experience. And for parents, feel free to leave questions in the comments, and later by the end of the interview, we are gonna go over those questions as well if time allows us. So first of all, we'll just quickly bring everyone back to our memory in Egypt.
Going to.
Oh, let me play it.
Going to. Brian Chu from USA and Adam from Poland.
Okay, so that really brought me back to the Egypt 3 weeks ago as well, when Brian won the third place. So Brian, I want to ask you, what were some of the most memorable challenges during IOI 2024 in Egypt, and how did you overcome them?
I mean, there's some like really like basic things because we were flying to Egypt and there's a 10-hour time lag. So there's like a lot of things associated with like jet lag and like environment. The food was not the greatest, and my entire team got sick. So I mean those are like the simple things, right? But you get used to that. I mean, if you need to sleep better, you bring earplugs, you bring like medicine, and yeah. But other than that, there's a lot of contest pressure, which is really bad because, you just flew halfway across the world and now you're here to take a contest with like 300 other people from literally every country. I met someone from Jordan on one of the bus rides. I forgot that country existed for a while, but yeah, it's really just like you're going to this really big thing and you don't realize it until you're in the contest hall and you see like 400 people all on computers and you realize you're all doing this together. But I feel when I do coding problems, I usually like I just like focus up, I sit there, I stare at the problem, and then usually everything else around me kind of like bleeds away. And I can focus on the problems. So, but other than that, I mean, I had a great time. The US coaches made that much easier as well. And having some of the X-Camp coaches actually be there during IOI, like on site, was really nice because if I needed to talk to someone, they were always there. I think that's mostly it. I mean, I can say the problems are hard, but I think that's expected.
Yeah, talking about Egypt is a very Asian country. So, what's your impression of this country, and like any interesting fact you would like to mention to all the audience?
If you go to Egypt, I highly recommend that you get a local driver and get ready for some crazy traffic because the streets are crazy. I mean, there's cars like weaving in and out, but it's also the cities are pretty beautiful actually. I mean, some of them are a little bit like dirty, but I think it's in a very beautiful way because you have like these giant skyscrapers right next to like old kind of like buildings that you know were built like 100 years ago, and just seeing them next to each other is like, I don't know, it's kind of humbling to see so much history. We visited the Great Library of Alexandria. We visited the pyramids as well, which is just like, I mean, you go to Egypt, you have to visit that, right? And that was really cool. Yeah. I mean, this sounds kind of dumb, but you don't really realize how big the pyramids are until you're right up next to one of them.
Yeah, and also I think the closing ceremony that I just showed the video with was near the pyramid, right? And the Sphinx.
It was right in front of the pyramids and the Sphinx. It's like a 5-minute walk away. So it's just in the background. Got so many good photos. I'll remember this for a while.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the translation seemed to have some problem, but we'll try to fix that in the future.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Were there interesting moments during the IOI, probably before the IOI, and also in general, what's the agenda look like in several days of your IOI journey?
Interesting. Day one, we got there at 6 in the morning. Well, we got there at like 5 in the morning. I slept at 7 in the morning in Egypt time, so I guess that was interesting. I mean, a lot of the excursions were fun. It was mainly the museum was really cool because I mean we got like a tour guide and they took us through like telling us what was what. And then I mean mostly I would say people, but I suppose that's an answer to a different question.
It's fine. You can talk about anything you would like to bring up to our audience.
Yeah, so I actually met some cool people. I won't say who they are, but it turns out there's actually a lot of people who you don't think would be there at IOI. So if anyone else ends up going, you'll find some very interesting people that I will not say the names of because yeah. I mean
Yeah.
the entire week was just a blur. I mean,
So basically, the first day you got there, and then the second day, was there a practice contest, right?
yeah, we went into the contest hall and like set up all our computers.
Yeah, and I heard a lot of people like, what kind of a contest environment did you have? Like, was that a stadium or was that a tent, something like that?
But yeah, I think the picture's on the slide, but it was a really big tent, which was actually nice. It was very well air conditioned. It actually got a little bit cold in there, surprisingly. We all got like desktop computers. We could bring our own keyboards because the keyboards there were in, I think, ANSI format, or was it ISO? I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, you bring your own computers. You can bring some mascots as well. There's a lot of stuffed animals I saw, and I also had a rubber duck that Ren gave me the week before the contest. And now that sits on my desk at home. But I guess it was a pretty lucky duck if everything worked out the way it did.
Yeah, that's pretty good to hear that. And also, how did you feel? How did you feel about the staffs and also the volunteers during the competition?
They were really cool. I mean, it's just you're talking to someone who's from across the world as you. I've never been in that region, and it's just very interesting to see, like, even though they're like halfway across the world, they're just normal people. They're really cool people to talk to. For example, I talked to uh other than the volunteers, of course, and like our guide, Philo. He was really charming guy. He was, although I wish he would wait for us sometimes. He moved a bit too fast. Uh, one thing is I actually met the Saudi Arabian team, and I found out we played some of the same video games, and that was pretty cool. And I mean, they worked hard. Like I don't really know what to say. Like the logistics were absolutely insane. Like getting all the contestants onto the bus. But yeah, I hope they had fun too.
How given you mentioned the contestants from different countries, do you see any difference and also the similar parts that we share with them, and also the different part that probably could be, you know, out of your expectation or imagination?
I mean, we all like coding. I think that's a pretty obvious common point that everyone at IOI has to enjoy coding, or else you just can't get that far. A lot of us are kind of like the nerdy type, where the content we consume online is like on the nerdier spectrum. Uh, there were people from countries who had very different views from the US, but we still get along, right? Because in the end, we're all there to have fun, code and compete. So regardless of whatever it is, we're still friends. And I tried to talk in English to a lot of people that didn't end up actually working. I thought someone was ignoring me, but I realized, hey, maybe they just don't know English. And then, um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I personally just feel like a volunteer was really responsible, and they really went above and beyond too. I was in Egypt too, and one day I was trying to take a taxi back to the hotel, which is pretty, given the campus was pretty far away from the hotel, and it's kind of out of nowhere, so it's really difficult to get taxi. So there was a random volunteer. He stayed there for like 30 minutes or 40 minutes, 40 minutes, just trying. He was just trying to find a taxi for me, and I was kind of really moved to find it out. Yeah, and for me, like maybe Egypt, they don't have really huge buildings or maybe really modern like civilizations. However, I think the people there they are really good, and they treat this event very seriously. And I think it's really good IOI experience overall to me as well. So then let's come to the, oh, actually, I have one more question. So I know after the second day, the third day is the first contest. And after the first contest, on I think the fourth day, there's a kind of a touring activities. What did people do in that day?
The US team actually didn't end up going because, I mean, for one thing, I actually didn't bring swim clothes, which were necessary because we're going to the beach. I felt that, and my entire team felt like going to the beach without swimming gear seemed a little bit pointless. So we ended up going to the hotel that the US coaches were staying at, and we ended up playing cards in some games, and we just talked a lot.
Okay. Then let's come to the next question.
Okay. I think I can talk with this one. So,
Oh,
first
actually,
of all,
let me
oh,
first
sorry.
say the question so that people know what's the question about. So during the IOI, what kind of people you or competitors, especially those who are famous or renowned competitors or staff, did you meet at the IOI? And were there any interesting story or something fun that happened during IOI between you and those people?
Okay, so I'll start with earliest first. So we started off with the US team who I met at camp before, and then I met again at the airport. All really cool people. I'm the only first year, so it was really nice to just have people who knew what was going on. And we talked a lot during the week. I like to think we're friends now, you know. The US team coaches, also really cool people. Mark, I was coach at camp as well, so I'd met him before. And there was also Scott Wu who joined in as a leader, coach last minute, and he was just a really cool guy to talk to. I mean, he knows everything. Like I don't know how, but he knows everything. So when we actually got there, one of the first things that happened was we met the Chinese team at registration actually. So there was Kang Yang who got first in 3 hours. I still don't know how he did that, but yeah. So I think I met fewer people than I would have preferred to because I feel like in IOI, the first year you're focused on getting the best medal you can. And once you get that, the second year, then you start like being more social because talking to people does take a fair amount of energy. And I was trying to conserve as much energy as possible after my 13-hour flight from the US to Turkey. But then I ended up meeting some people online who I met online before. I'm not gonna dox them, but very cool people. I ended up meeting the Saudi Arabian team, who was also really cool. We spent a 3-hour bus ride together, cramped in the back of the bus. So I like to think we bonded. I met the Mexican team as well. Also, I mean, I keep saying really cool a lot, but like that's the truth, right? These are all just people who also like coding, and sometimes we also like other things. Like yeah. Interesting stories. In the back of the bus, I think someone left a window open, and then there was a big blast of sand through the window, and then the US team and the Saudi Arabian team were both trying to not die from sand inhalation. Yeah. I played pool with some of the Indian national team members. That was pretty cool. Played some ping pong as well. There was an area which just had a bunch of games. Oh yeah, oh yeah. On the last day, they brought in these like inflatable sort of like play structure things for one of the places. And one of them had the thing where I keep saying the thing. It's one of the inflatable things like where in which you get hit a lot while you're playing. So I got to get hit with the rest of the US IOI team and a few other people. So wait, like you can Google this after, but it's like a spinny inflatable thing. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, given you mentioned the leaders of the US team, I think both Scott and Mark, they are like leaders of the major AI companies. So, did you talk to them about your future, especially when you grow up after college? How would you like to, what kind of a like future plan would look like? Especially, I think at least Scott, he was the IOI Gold Medalist in the past too. So did you talk about something like that?
Yeah, we discussed a lot. We had a day where we like discussed some stuff about like careers and things like that. So the consensus is I'd like to go into some sort of startup because it just seems fun because, you know, fast paced, you're making something new, something cool, you're innovating. Software engineering at big companies just seems a little bit boring to me, but you know, to each their own. I forgot what I was gonna say. Uh, I mean, some other options could be research, I guess, but I prefer not to starve. The US does not pay its research scientists very well. But yeah, as long as AI doesn't take over, you know, Scott is writing Devin to take away my job, you know, as long as that doesn't happen in the next 5 years, I think I'll have a fun time. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, did you talk to Mark about career too?
Yeah, I mean, we were all talking together.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, Mark just works at OpenAI. He's a pretty big guy there. Um, they emphasize a lot on like the importance of like people skills as well as CS skills because coding gets your foot into the door, but if you really want to work your way up, then it's being able to talk and network that really gets you up there.
Yeah, and also, given we are also talking about AI, so how do you feel about AI's engagement with compat programming these days? Like, what's your opinion for how AI is going to change education in coding? And also, did you use any AI tools during your training?
I don't interact that much with AI. I usually use it for like translation because it's just easier sometimes because I get problems from all sorts of languages, and sometimes if it's in Polish, I can't read that. So yeah, out comes ChatGPT. But yeah, 3 days or so after we come back from IOI, OpenAI publishes a new blog post. GPT 4.01 gets a gold medal at IOI. So yeah, their score distribution is a little bit strange, but it did solve some pretty hard problems. So I have a lot of hope for what it's going to do. If they're ever going to get to a point where AI can autonomously research, I feel like that's when humanity is really going to get to be free and do whatever they want. I am a little bit worried though, because AI makes so many things so much easier that it becomes hard to get your foot in the door, so to speak, where let's say you want to start coding, right? And you're like practicing and you take like a competition. Let's say you go to Code Forces and you start competing. And then you find out that the AI does better than you. And then it just feels like, why are you doing this? Like the AI is better than you anyways. But so that's my biggest worry is that it takes a lot of motivation away from humans to apply themselves and make themselves better than the AI. But I think that this is something that we have to get used to. We have to learn to enjoy doing these things regardless of whether a robot is currently better than us or not. Yeah.
So before we have, calculator people who are really good at, counting or maybe do like basic algebra operations, they are probably like calculator. And later, after we invent the machine like calculator, people still need to learn math. They still need to learn algebra or calculus. And even with the more advanced tools such as MATLAB, we still need to learn stuff. So if we talk about coding, do you think in the future we still need to learn coding, despite the fact that AI is becoming stronger and stronger in software developing and in coding in general?
I mean, that's the thing, right? I feel like I looked at GPT-01's performance. It is extremely impressive. Like I don't know how to describe like how good it is. Like this is something that took me years of like training to develop, and then the AI can do it now too. Like AGI is such a scary thing, right? Because it can do anything. It can do anything a human can do. But I guess, I mean, the way Scott put it is maybe it does everything. Maybe it's better than us. But at that point, when research is completely automated and we can learn how to feed the world, how to save the environment, how to reverse entropy, maybe, we'll be living life on creative mode. It's just see what you can do, having fun. Hopefully, still being intellectuals. I think a big purpose of why we're here is just to see what we can do.
Yeah, thank you. And then back to the IOI questions. So on the left side of the screen sharing, I think we can see different peoples here. So who is the guy on the right side?
Yeah, that's Kang Yang, the guy who got full score in 3 hours. Yeah. He's a genius. I don't really know any other way to put it. But really cool meeting him. I mean, honestly, if you really talk to him, he's just a normal guy like everyone else, except for the fact that, you know, he's a genius. Yeah.
So Kangyang
Um,
was actually a student, is actually a student of Xuejun Xin You Dui, and what were you guys doing in this picture?
a few days before, I'd taken a test as part of the last stretch of training. And one of the problems I got really stumped on. I lied down on my bed for 4 hours and couldn't solve it. And then this was the day before a contest. And I have this thing where I don't like to leave a problem unsolved right before a contest, because what if that problem is on the contest? So I asked the person who can solve any problem to help me with that. And yeah,
Yeah,
it turns out, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It turns out I was actually kind of close, but then like I couldn't figure out the details, but he helped me with that.
Yeah, that's really nice. Actually, Kangyang, he's still like regarded as one of the most successful and most legendary contestants in the competitive programming in China, at least one of them. And also, I can also see another contestant here on the left side. He's probably pretty small. Who is he?
That's Rain, USA01. His yearly vacation is going to IOI.
So how many gold medal did he get in the past?
I lost count. I want to say 3 or 4, 4, 5. I don't know. I'd say around the ballpark of 4.
Yeah, so talking about the your teammates in the US team, like, can you give us some like idea of how you communicate with them, or maybe you guys talk about anything fun, or maybe you did some common practice or common preparation after you become the same team?
Yeah. So the week before the contest, we had a little bit of training. We also did this with the Japanese team. This was organized by XCamp. We just had a few tests that we worked through together, and afterwards we would discuss the problems. As well as, as for training, we also met up one time with Scott a bit before the contest, and we did some problems together. It was really fun. I mean, we're all high schoolers in the US. I mean, we love coding, so we talk about a lot of puzzles. There were a lot of cool like thought exercises that they gave that they had heard from other people, and it was really fun to solve them. Although they were also really hard. I guess that's what you get when you talk with these kind of people. I mean, we talked about school a lot, just some general things about programming. Talked about the people we met. That's always a big one. Yeah. I mean, there's other stuff, but like I don't want to get too specific if it's something they don't want to be shared.
Sure, no problem. And yeah, talking about Kangyang, I think he's the probably the 5th IOI gold medalist in Xin You Dui history, and we do have I think probably at least 3 world championships won by Xin You Dui students in the past. So Kangyang is the 4th, and he's the 2nd AKIOI contestant in Xin You Dui history as well. Okay, so
first.
I think he's the 2nd. The first one was Ying Zhanxi. He was like 2012 IOI first place with with AK score. And by the way, he's I think the ACM ICPC coach of MIT team. Maybe you can meet him if you attend MIT in the future.
Hopefully.
Okay, so let's come to the next one. I guess you probably answered some of the part of a question just now, but in general, what kind of a preparation did you have during the month, or maybe even like during the last few months leading up to IOI?
I mean, so USACO has a specific sort of type of problem that they like to set, and then USACO Camp for selection, which is how you get into the IOI team, has another type of like problem style where they set, and then IOI has a third type of problem setting style. So you have to learn how to do all 3 of these. So I spent a lot of time upping my specs in interactive problems, which is something that doesn't really appear on USACO, but appears a lot on IOI. So this is most of these problems or a lot of them are all interactive style. So, and yeah, it's actually kind of crazy because during the contest, I did not solve the type of problems I usually solve in USACO contests, which is sort of like data structures kind of things, but instead I solved the problems I practiced in the 2 months leading up to IOI. So I like to think it helped, but I took a lot of mock contests mostly. I think that's one of the best ways to prepare because my ability to like make decisions in contests has gotten a lot better. Because I'm gonna be honest, like 2 years ago, if you asked me what my strategy was, I just picked the problem that I thought was the easiest and spent 5 hours on it and just prayed I got points. But when you go to IOI, you can't afford to have any sort of inconsistency in your score because it's one contest, right? So a lot of that was also working on figuring out what problem order, what kind of problems I'd like to do, when to leave a problem after you spent 3 hours debugging it and getting 0 points. So that was an important thing. I mean, yeah, it's mostly exposing me to different kinds of problem setting styles because IOI has open problem setting from like people all around the world. So you have to be ready for anything or else you're gonna suffer.
Okay, so talking about preparation, I heard a very important keyword that is mock tests. So can you talk a little bit more about how what does that mean and how did that prepare you for the contest and also why it is so important?
Yeah. So a mock test is what it sounds like. It's a mock test where you simulate taking an actual contest. You give yourself how many problems are in the contest for however much time. So it's IOI style is 3 problems in 5 hours. And you just take it like it's a real contest. And then after, of course, you review the problems, make sure you can solve all of them. But yeah, mock contest has been the primary way I've trained since I joined XCamp. It's been a long time. The first mock test I took was in sometime in my freshman year, but I've been taking them ever since. And I really think that I've gotten better at taking contests because when you look at a lot of the other people at USACO Camp, they mostly take a lot of code forces. They just take lots and lots of problems. And then that does make you good. But the problem is you can't reach your full potential if you also don't know how to take a contest. Because knowing how to take a contest makes sure that you can get the maximum points that you can get every single time you take a contest. No like lost points, no like 5 minutes after the contest. Dang, I should have worked on that problem instead. Why am I? Yeah. Very important things that you definitely have to learn.
Yeah, and also if we can be more specific, what aspects did the mock test prepare you?
In what sense?
Like for example, like typically we say knowledge-wise, or say strategy-wise, or maybe time management-wise, or maybe just psychology-wise.
So psychology is a really big one because I mean I'm very lucky. I don't get that nervous during contests as much as like some other people I know because I've been taking contests for a long, long time. And then after like 3 years of weekly mock tests, it's just I can sit down, I can look at the problems and just work on them. I just try my best and I don't have any issues with that. Time management. I learned that I have to be realistic is the biggest thing, I think. There was a time where I just like to do problems to prove to myself that I could do the problems. And then one of my best early performances, which was on one of the USACO Open contests in Platinum, that was because I just did what I wanted to do and I got the points that I got. But then the entire next year, I made a lot of poor decisions in contest where I picked a problem that I wanted to do and then spent my entire time doing it. And then this would lead to some issues and lost points on other problems, or just not knowing whether I could actually finish a problem in time, and then wasting a lot of time. So these are all things that I really had to fix to really become more well-rounded. And then that's the biggest benefit of mock tests. And if you also do mock tests from all kinds of problem setting styles, you also get a sample of a lot of problems. Because if there's an algorithm that appears on like one test from Chinese training in 2008, it's not that important, right? You don't need to know link cut cactus, no matter how interesting it is. But if you take a lot of mock tests, you'll know what algorithms keep showing up, you know what patterns keep showing up, and you can take advantage of that. Maximum efficiency.
Yeah. And then talking about the training you received, you mentioned that the major approach that you took at XCamp was the mock tests. And what do you think about the mock tests that you did at XCamp? And also, how typically what's your journey during those training? Like anything before the training, anything during the training, or maybe anything after training? What did the coach do with you?
I remember my first time ever taking a mock test. Was it December of freshman year, I think? I think
Yeah.
there was some winter camp.
Yeah.
We took a series of mock tests. I think it was like one a day. And I failed like really badly. Like I'm serious when I say I failed. But I think taking that class with a bunch of people who are all better than me, who I could learn from really quickly, that was one of the best things that really helped me grow. Another big part of doing mock tests is you need to review the problems after, right? The first obvious thing is you need to review the strategy. Like if you do something dumb in contests, like spending 4 hours on a problem you can't solve, you need to realize that that's dumb. And sometimes you can't. Like it sounds very easy, but sometimes you just want to do a problem. You think it looks cool, you want to do it, you feel like you're getting closer, and yeah, you end up getting a 0. So you really need someone to slap you in the face and tell you, no, that's a very bad idea. Fix your strategy. And then that's really nice. And just having people who can explain motivation to problems is also very important. This is something you should try to do yourself, but it's also much easier if you have someone teaching you, where you try to do a problem, you can't solve it. You spend 8 hours trying to do it and you're stuck and you have made 0 progress. You need someone, and then you read the solution finally, and you're like, okay, sure, that's a solution. You flip this thing and then you move that there, and then suddenly the problem is easy. Dang. Like you don't want to be the person who only knows how to recognize exactly that trick when it appears and then apply it the same time when that trick appears. Like you don't want to be a Google search engine for like programming tricks. That's not the way to do it. You need to understand why you think of that and then how to think of it fast as well. So this is something that coaches can really help you with, I guess, is making sure you understand like how you do a problem. Yeah, I think I said, is there anything else?
Yeah, and also typically, like I know a lot of students, they are also taking contests online, and sometimes they can find tutorial online as well. But typically, do you think it's just sufficient enough just to read the tutorial? Would you recommend they need to go ahead and further correct the problems, solve the problem, and even make it pass? And how did the XCamp coach told you what to do?
They're good tutorials. Sometimes I think a good editorial is the one that not only gives you like the code, it also gives you the solution of how the code works, and then it tells you why you think of each step. And ideally, it comes with a set of hints if you get stuck. Those editorials are very good, but they're also very rare. Not a lot of problem setters spend the time making those. If you search online, you might be able to find some blog written by a Chinese student who has done the problem you did and tried to explain their thinking process. But sometimes it's not always possible. Sometimes the only thing you can find is just, this is the solution, code it. But you have to figure it out yourself. I mean, sometimes it's just impossible. There's some problems that are just too difficult for people, I guess. But you need to try to figure it out yourself. Wait, sorry, what was the second half of the question? I was gonna say something, but I forgot.
Oh, that's fine.
Wait,
So yeah, essentially, like as you said, tutorial is extremely important. But probably even more important is that what's the kind of a motivation or hints, what kind of observations that can lead to the final solution or the tutorial, right?
Yeah, but your question had another part that I was going to answer, but then I suddenly lost my train of thought.
I think it's probably
I
about absolving.
Oh yeah, of solving. Yeah. After you finish a contest and you've read the solution, you're like, hey, cool, that's a solution. But now you have to consider whether or not you actually code it. And that's what I would call upsolving. I think it's important. In my early days, I did not like doing that. I usually read the solution and just said, okay, that's cool. Hopefully I remember how to do it next time. But a lot of time your brain tricks you into thinking that you actually understand something that you don't. And then if you don't code it, you're not proving to yourself that you understand it. A lot of the time, coding it is like a sanity check to make sure you really understand the solution you're making. One of my biggest regrets in like the 2 months leading up to IOI is that I never practiced coding enough, like implementation. This was a very big problem on my monthly contests where I would get a really cool solution, but then I either didn't have the capability to code it or I didn't have the capability to code it correctly and then debug it. So this is also something I worked on a lot over the summer, but I wish when I started, I coded everything because if it takes you a long time to code it, chances are you need to get better at coding, and then that's how you get better at coding. And then if it's easy for you, then it'll take 10 minutes. Okay, blink of an eye, it's done. At least that's the way I like to think about it.
Cool. Thank you. And also, given you've been trained at a camp for such a long time, so how do we typically cheat mock tests? You've already talked about it, but how about homework? Typically, what's the requirements over there?
It's changed a lot actually while I've been there. During the year, usually we have weekly lectures and then they assign the problems that are given in the lectures to upsolve after class. Doing your homework is important for many things, not limited to XCamp, but including school and university, I'd hope. It proves that you really understand something. Because again, like I said earlier, you can very easily trick yourself into thinking that you solved a problem, but you didn't. A lot of time we also get large problem sets. The teacher throws us a list of 30 problems and says, go ahead and do them. I mean, it's just solving problems, right? That's in the end, that's all the teacher can really tell you to do. Solve problems. Here's how you can solve them better. Now go solve more problems.
Yeah. Okay, so let's come to the next question. I think, yeah, let's just quickly go over this. What specific preparation did you make in the week before the exam? Probably you already answered that. And how did the coach help you? I think I guess it's like either before the contest and also during in the middle of between contest 1 and contest 2. What happened, and did coach talk to you about anything? And also for the preparation before 1 month before or 1 week before the exam, what did you do?
I got a lot of pep talks from the coaches telling me that, it's a contest. It's probably going to be one of the most important contests of your life, but that's how it is. And you just, do your best on it. Actually, the day before the second contest and the day after the first contest, they're the same day. I met up with Yuan and gave me a very long pep talk that I think helped. It's just saying that you need to be careful and just do your best. Get a 0, get a 300. As long as you did your best, hopefully you're not too disappointed. Hopefully you're happy. In terms of actual like coaching in the sense of like doing problems, we had the mock tests that were organized the week before, which was joint training with the Japanese team. It was very fun to like measure my performance against people who I knew actually got like IOI Gold before. Yeah. I mean, the week before, right? You don't want to do too much because you don't want to stress yourself out right before the competition. you want to go into the competition wanting to do it, not feel like you spent too much time doing coding.
Yeah. And I still remember during those like pre-IOI trainings, we had several trainings, and you were not ranked like in the top. And actually, those Japanese team members were much better. Sorry, not much better, but seemed to be better than you. And I was like, as long as Brian can get the top 30 globally, then I will be more than happy, and I think other coaches will be more than happy too. But in the end of the day, you got the third place, which is really amazing, and also it's a super big surprise to me as well. And also for the one day between the contest 1, contest 2, just give everyone a little bit more information. I think Coach Peter, Coach Xin Yu, me, and Coach Xin You Dui, he is the founder of Xin You Dui and Xuejing Xin You Dui as well. We were sitting together and we talk a lot about strategy and how to adjust like strategy, and also how to react to different scenarios, situations, if things happen. The most important thing is that if everything just goes smoothly, then just follow your instinct. But if anything goes wrong, then remember what the coaches and the teachers told you in the past. Especially, you need to do reset. And I remember very clearly that we have an example, which is the ping pong Olympiad in the Paris Olympiad game. And I think the men's game, Zheng Dongfan, he was the final championship. I think he was in a very difficult situation in the semi-final or something against a Japanese player, and then he did some reset by swapping his clothes, I think, and then he eventually was able to adjust and get a reset. And all these kind of things probably won't help you like directly knowledge-wise just one day before the competition, but I think that will help you to feel more comfortable and more confident as well.
Yeah. During the second day contest, after I solved the first problem, I was working on the third problem. So the third problem is a bit interesting in how they score it, in that finding something very close to the full solution actually gets you 0 points. You have to take an entirely different route to get like partial scores on that problem. So I was really close to 100 points, but I had like a small gap where like my solution just was not good enough. So I was very stressed because I did not want to spend all that time thinking about the full solution and then getting 0 points from it. So thanks to the volunteers, we had a lot of snacks. I drank a mango juice, sat there staring at the ceiling for 2 minutes, went to the bathroom, came back, and I solved the problem within 10 minutes. So getting out of that little hole in your brain can help a lot and make sure that you don't have any regrets.
Yeah, and also talking about the problems of the IOI this year, which one is the hardest one, in your opinion?
Day 2, problem 1, hieroglyph, I think. Yeah, that problem is crazy. I have no idea how Augustia solved that in the middle of a contest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you've been working on the past several years of IOI competition problems. How would you compare the difficulty and also other dimensions with the past year's problems, or maybe past few years of problems of IOI?
I mean, it's really just getting used to the sort of style of the problems, because IOI a lot of time has a lot of very small subtasks in which like you get like 3 points and you get like 5 points and you get like 10 points, and then like you very slowly build your way up to 100. So getting each one of those like tiny incremental like subtasks is something that I was not very good at before I took a lot of mock contests for IOI. And just getting used to the problem setting style. The Yoneda brothers have been setting a lot of problems recently, and it's best to get used to that.
And talking about the problem difficulty, how difficult it is to AK IOI this year from your point of view?
It was easier than last year. Still very hard. For me, I think if I wasn't tired and you gave me an extra 2 or 3 hours on both days, I might have been able to get a full score. But then you have people like Kangyang who AK in 3 hours, and then like I'm like, why am I even here?
At that moment, I just feel like probably Kangyang needed a false problem of that day, of day one.
Sorry, what?
I mean, like he probably needed a false problem, more than 3 problems.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Yeast.
come to the next question. So we know last year you got to the national camp, and this year you got to the national team. So during the 1 year, what changed, and what the key preparation did you have?
Yeah, so in 2022 to 2023, I was dead last in camp selection. So that was a little bit humbling. Yeah, so I think a big part of it was getting used to those special kinds of problems, which are called interactives that don't actually appear on the monthly contest, but do appear at camp. So that's something you just have to train. You look at more problems, see some like ideas that commonly pop up and figure out how to apply them. I mean, it's the same kind of thing as creating any other problem, of course. So yeah, I spent a lot of time just trying to get more well-rounded because if you look at the scores from USACO Camp, I can't get too specific, but I was one of the more consistent people. Even though I never scored like the best, I consistently performed within like the top. And even when I was not like at like the sort of like top 4 area, I was like not very far behind. I never failed a contest. That's a really big important thing, even for qualifying to camp, because the coaches really value consistency in the campers. So if you're in platinum, do a lot of problems, do a lot of different kinds of problems. If you don't like a specific type of problem, that's a problem. Do more problems like that. Keep saying problem.
Okay, so in the whole process, like in that year, did you see any major blockers, any conflicts between your daily schedule and your competitive programming schedule, and also like any other type of blockers that you unblocked?
I'm gonna be fairly honest here. I have a somewhat lower workload than a lot of other people, and I feel like that really allowed me to hyper focus on coding because if you really want to take this path as far as it can go, you're gonna need to spend a lot of time. A lot of people I know got really good during the pandemic, but at that point I actually was not doing coding, so I lost the opportunity to spend like 8 hours a day on coding. So instead I had to catch up now. So the thing with this is if you're willing to put time into it, just go for it. I mean, see how far you can go. I mean, there are times where I did have a lot of external work because, I mean, school and then like studying for exams, and then you have like club things, like, and then like other commitments. I have like weekly volunteering I do at local middle school. And these all take time, but it's just trying to maximize your efficiency.
Mm-hmm. And also, like, I know some people, they just retire from the competition after they get into the camp, but you pushed all the way to IOI team. What kind of motivation is behind that kind of type of commitment and also dedication?
Okay, so there's something I didn't realize until very recently. The thing is, a lot of the time I kind of wanted to quit because one of the biggest things is when you don't see improvement, you want to leave. Like there was a point where I was like jumping in skill. I was like watching my like rating go up and up and up, and I was like, dang, I'm good. And then it hit like a ceiling, and then I was stuck there. And then I felt like I might as well just quit. I mean, I already got this far. I feel like it's good enough. But in the end, I guess because I just didn't have anything else I really wanted to do. Like thing is, after I came back from IOI, I had a week of like homework I had to make up. After that, I was like, okay, I can focus on other things now. And then I realized not working on competitive programming suddenly made 5 hours of my day reappear into my life. And then during those 5 hours, I was like, what do I have to do? Like, I can do other work, but like a lot of that I don't enjoy. I can sit there and do stupid things like watching YouTube for 2 hours, and then I realized maybe I do need something like competitive programming in my life, right? Like it's just I never realized how much I enjoyed it until after. But yeah, I guess I kind of enjoyed it. It was something that it was something that I was good at, something I enjoyed watching myself improve at, something that I felt good doing.
That's really great to hear. And I think people in the top of the competitive programming world, they purely just love it. They are good at it, but they love it. Without love, they won't be able to push that far, because that means when your peers, when your classmates, they are doing something else, probably that are less challenging, less frustrating, and then you are working on combat programming. And for the people I've seen so far, so many NOI medalists, IOI Gold Medalists, I think they really love it. And talking about that, I also want to take this opportunity to thank you, because when you joined X Camp, I was the main coach. Later, there are other coaches too. And I think there are more than 10 teachers taught you all the way, and also the same class. I think it's just very fortunate for us to be able to fund you and also to support you all the way to IOI. I think you've achieved for majority of the teachers. I know some of the teachers, they are IOI Gold Medalist. They are probably still better than you. But for most of the teachers and coaches, they are not as good as you today. And you've achieved much more than what we could. So we want to thank you for that. And also, you pretty much like make the dream come true for all the teachers and coaches as well. Yeah, thank you, Brian. Let's come to the next question. I think this problem is a little bit overlapping with what we talk about, but essentially, like during your whole journey, like out of 3 years, not like the past year, what type of challenges or maybe what type of blockers did you have? And maybe this question talk about the moments that you feel most accomplished. Actually, what I'm curious about is that, are there any really frustrated moments, frustrating moments and frustrating like competition, like, and also anything you think could have made you to quit, something like that. Because what we want here is some true feeling and a true reflection and true impression that and also true blockers, because many of the kids, they're still in the past.
Yeah. Okay, so I think one of the biggest issues was when I just joined X Camp. So I did see a question in the chat about it. So I actually started USACO very early, or like relatively, I guess. So in 6th grade, I learned C++ from a family friend. And through what's probably now considered the easiest USACO silver contest ever written, it was like Icy Perimeter, where it was 3 problems with like the most basic algorithms. I qualified to gold. So I started taking gold contests and I started getting zeros. And then I quit for 2 years because I just felt like I couldn't get out of here. I just wasn't good enough. And when I just joined X Camp, because I got to gold in such an easy contest, I was mentally probably still like a USACO silver or bronze level. So when I first joined, the problems were meant for the people who already made platinum. So a lot of people like Thomas or Wei Ming, who would eventually go on to camp, they were much better than me. And it was not fun to just look at these problems and see like, this is too hard. I can't do it. Like every problem, I'm reading the solution and then I can't even code it myself. I have to go look at the code and like figure out how that works and then like try to rewrite it. And that was not fun. But I think the most important thing that got me through that was just having these other people who are also struggling. Maybe they were struggling more or less than I was, but it was just nice I could finally talk to someone because a lot of time when I trained USACO before X Camp or like competitive math as well, I did it by myself. There was a period of time where I did get a train with friends. That was probably one of my happier times doing math. But doing problems by myself at home, struggling every day, it's not for me. I couldn't do it. But having other people to like talk to and who really actually understand what you're going through. I mean, we're all very similar people in the path we took, right? Just having that kind of community is something that I couldn't give up. If I didn't have that, I never even would have made platinum. Because even after I joined XCamp, it took me like around a year of training to reach the level where I could enter platinum. But I did it. So I was pretty happy about that. Yeah, motivation is one of the hardest things to deal with because it comes and goes. You know, sometimes you watch a video of like #1 coder in the world solves problem in 10 minutes and you feel like you're on top of the world, you can do anything. And then once you open USACO and start doing a problem, you can't do it. And now you just don't want to do it anymore. But I feel like what worked for me was building habits. I go home every day. I spend like X amount of hours taking a mock test, and then I spend Y number of hours solving the problems for that mock test. And getting used to this takes time, but once you do, maybe you don't feel like doing problems. You go home, you're feeling tired, and you just want to do nothing. But that's not good, right? But then you're just used to it. Like every day, you know what you do is you log into your computer and you start a mock test. And then just having that is having that sort of like natural pull to do what you are doing is very important. And it kept me going. Another reason why I like mock tests is because when you do a mock test, it's 5 hours. You have to sort of set like a contract with yourself that you're going to spend all those 5 hours working. But what's so good about this is it only takes 10 seconds of motivation to press the start button on the mock test, and suddenly you work for 5 hours. So I feel like that was one of the best tricks that really got me to work hard, is just turning those first 10 seconds where you're like feeling maybe I should do this, you know, maybe I want to do this, and turning that into 5 hours of productive work. So that's why mock tests were so good for me, but upsolving was significantly harder. Yeah, yeah, most accomplished. I would say when I finally got to platinum after 3 years being stuck in gold and getting zeros consistently, that was one of the happiest contests of my life. Like after that, when I thought that I solved the second problem in that contest, like my heart was like racing. It was like literally, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It's just the rush of having done something that you couldn't do and realizing maybe this is for me, you know? Okay. Friends. Okay, coaches. So when at the point I joined, Yuan was teaching the classes himself. And he's been around for all this time, setting up all and like arranging all these things for me. So very important, I guess. Yeah. And then there's out of other coaches who I've met, one of the biggest ones was Peter, who joined XCamp actually around the time I did. And then yeah, he organized a lot of the training for me and introduced me to a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, just people to talk to, right? It's really nice to be able to talk to coaches who've already went through what you've went through, and they can tell you that you're doing this for something. You're it's all going to be okay at the end of it. Even if maybe you don't like end up doing good on the contest you wanted to do, don't quit, right? It's all going to be okay. And then more recently, there was teacher Xin You, who organized a lot of the tests for me, like when I was training for IOI. I mean, he spent a lot of time setting a lot of tests that had pretty good problems. So that was great. I mean, there's just a lot of teachers too, right? One of the teachers for the yearly lectures who taught me a lot of like the problem solving ideas I use now was ZZF. And then I mean, I've just met a lot of people, like number of coaches who I've like talked to. I mean, it goes on.
Probably 谢霆, ZZF, and ZZQ,
Yeah,
and 侧金.
one time.
Yeah, and also in the past used to be Enhao, Changdong. Yeah, there are so many teachers, and I'm really glad. I think I talked to lots of them. They just feel so proud of you, and you pretty much just make their dream come true as well. Yeah.
And as for friends, I mean, the original XCamp class, a lot of whom are at MIT now. Ideally, I joined them. I'd be very sad if I didn't. Like Thomas, Wei Ming, Larry, Dong Liu, Tina. I mean, Bobby was there for a while too. Dustin. Yeah. I mean, we coded together. I mean, Alex Chen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
We
of
built
the
each
same
other up.
class, you probably have pretty much the whole class in MIT, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can join them.
So yeah, just to give all audience a little bit more introduction, the program that Brian joined was called the Grandmaster program at XCamp. It was mainly for students who want to pass go enter Plantium. Second type is for those who want to get to the US camp. The third type is to get to the IOI and win something in IOI. For these three type of students, I think this program pretty much provide one of the best resource in the US. Okay, so yeah, anything else you want to talk about in this page?
I don't think so.
Cool.
I don't
Let's
know.
go to the next one. Oh, I think it's pretty much one of the last few questions. Is there anything you would like to say to the students who are still on this journey, mostly like competitive programming?
This is about seeing what you can do, right? Like maybe at one point you're gonna be doing problems and you're not gonna be improving and you're gonna feel like you're not getting better. And then that's okay. Maybe you realize that you're not good at this. Maybe you realize you're very good at this. Regardless, I mean, this entire journey is just seeing what you can do, pushing yourself to as far as you can go, and just being amazed by how far you did go. I mean, I don't know many people who really loved the sport but look back on what they did and said, I shouldn't have done that. I should have done something else with my high school. I should have, yeah. Yeah. Just see how far you can go. It's all fun, right?
Cool. So I want to use this opportunity to talk about this too. This is something I wrote, and I talk about in every single quarter's opening ceremony to all camp students and parents. That is, we are not just like shooting for a competition institute at XCamp. We mostly want to train students to trust the process of making effort, have a motivation, have a goal, and then have a process to commit, and to trust the process. Eventually, be able to commit to a long pole effort, and eventually, like really trust the process because they've been through the process and they gain the long-term benefit, instead of always focusing on getting the short-term feedback, positive feedback. That also means that for USACO, the results and all those college offers, they are just a side effect or side product. It's not something that we only want to shoot for. And the competition is probably one of the approach to proceed to get rewards. But it is not the only way or only definition of success for sure. This is something I always tell students. I think I wrote this probably when Brian was still in gold level, also like probably 3 or 4 years ago. I think this is still true, and going forward, I'll just make sure I would always talk about this in every single quarter's opening ceremony, and we want all the kids they can learn something out of the process, and also it's not about whether they can get to the IOI or not. It's more about no matter where they reach eventually, they find the journey to be valuable. They get something out of it, especially they trust the process, trust a long pull effort. Then that's just good enough. And plus, they have built very solid knowledge foundation. You don't have to be IOI Gold Medalist to become future researcher or maybe future entrepreneur or maybe future professors. Okay, so let's come to the, I think, let me see. Oh, I think that's all the questions we have. And we just have a quick thing to go over. The Grandmaster program that we talk about, where Brian came from, we are running this year-round, and we are still accepting students, but we only accept a very limited number of students every year. So if you are parents or students, like for example, the students really want to pass gold to get to the Plantain, or maybe you want to get to the camp, US camp, or maybe you just really want to get to the US team, then I think the program should be right for you as long as you are ready to make commitments. You are ready to invest tons of time into it, and you are passionate about it, like Brian. I think due to the limitation of the time, we won't be able to take too many questions. And Brian, are you okay with staying for 10 minutes to take some questions?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I will quickly check the chat. I will try to take some questions, and we have to stop somewhere. Sorry about that, all audience. I think many of the questions we've already answered that to some extent. Something really quick. What sports do you enjoy in your spare time?
I used to play basketball and I used to swim, but I ended up quitting when the pandemic hit. I mean, after I mostly did PE in school. I really like badminton. I like ping pong. Honestly, for exercise, I prefer just running. Just something that to clear your head where you can just you just focus on the wind pumping through your lungs and go. If you want to think about things, it's one of the best times to do so.
Something really quick. I think Coach Peter, he emphasized a lot about you should exercise a lot to make sure you feel comfortable to do long period of time of competition, right?
Yeah, it's something that will help with contest endurance.
Yep. Okay, let's see. What's the next question? Do you think IQ is very important for your success? And typically, how many hours did you spend? Like, you can do some quick QA. You don't have to provide lots of details. And also, how can you find out whether you are gifted for this or not?
I have no clue what my IQ is. I don't think it's that high, but there is a difference, right? Someone with higher IQ will figure out patterns faster. There is a point where not having that sort of advantage will hurt, but I don't think there's any point where that will stop you. If you're genuinely willing to spend the time, you can go extremely far. But you're competing against people who are really smart and also really hardworking, so beating them is a challenge. How many hours specifically? I mean, it oscillated a lot. I mean, there's some points during the summer it might have gone up to 8 if we had a summer camp, and there are times where it was 2 or 3. But I would say maybe an average of 3 to 4 per day is probably fair for the last 3 years. And whether or not, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
And whether or not you have the gift, I mean, you just try, right? You see how far you just go for it. I mean, maybe you'll hit a roadblock early like I did, but that doesn't mean there's some payoff like far beyond. I think this is something you should decide before you start. Like, how far is far enough for you? How far do you want to go? Like, how much time are you willing to spend? And just try and find out. I mean, you never know if you're secretly a genius, right? So everyone should try. Like, spend like a few hours a day. I mean, if you enjoy it, I mean, go ahead and do it. I mean, if it's a hobby for you, there's no reason why you should stop. Because I think this is objectively a pretty good hobby to have. But if you don't enjoy it and you feel like you're not improving as fast as you want to, you feel like you're spending too much time, I mean, maybe if you don't want to do it, then it's not for you.
Yeah.
But I like to emphasize, if you do this as a hobby, you should not stop.
So that also means that if you really want to get to a high level, then be focused, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So next question is that how long did it take for you to progress from zero foundation to bronze and then to silver? And then how long did it take to pass gold?
In the beginning, I went through like a few random languages. Like I learned Turtle at one point. I learned like very simple Python, but I really only started USACO kind of like problem-solving problems in 6th grade, where I got from bronze to gold pretty quickly because of a very easy contest. That took me probably order of like 3-4 months. And then getting a platinum, that took a while. That only happened in ninth grade on the, I want to say, February contest. Yeah, I finally made platinum then. And I think at that point I was at the level that I would have been able to qualify through any contest.
Yeah. Okay, so next one. How are you at math? Have you participated in math competition? And in your opinion, how strong do you need to be at math to meet the IOI requirements, or in general, like very strong compared programming contestants requirements?
Okay. I had a lot of math competition experience. That doesn't mean everyone else has to. A lot of the IOI team members are good at math, but a lot of them are good at math because they're good at CS. Because a lot of the sort of problem-solving ideas that you encounter in coding are very similar to those in math, especially like counting and probability. Just doing math can help a lot because there's a lot of sort of like thinking methods that you would see in math that you might not necessarily see by yourself if you're doing coding, but they're like obvious for people who do math, and just knowing all of those is very helpful. Wait, let me get where's the rest of the question?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, go ahead.
so at the time that I was really training at X Camp, I was a USACO qualifier. I do not think that skill at math is necessary. Especially because if you do math, you spend a lot of time training on like geometry. But I think it really helped. I mean, a lot right off the bat, I could solve a lot of like sort of lower level USACO problems. But again, it's not necessary. There are campers who did not make Amy. So you don't need to train math. You don't need to like be specifically good at math, but it will help like a lot if you're good at math.
So the next question is that if my son starts programming in 8th grade, does he still have a chance to reach Platinum, join the USACO Camp, or even make it to IOI? What grade do most students reach IOI?
I mean, they're crazy people like who are like Benjamin Shi, who start in like 9th grade and get to IOI in 2 years, which takes, I guess, a crazy amount of dedication and talent. I mean, you can't really say for like a single person, right? Like they just have to try and see how long it takes. But you know, if your son is good at math, like, or at least maybe not good, but like they don't struggle too much. They have like intuition. I think you could definitely make camp at least, and IOI is definitely within the question. Especially because like there's something about like brain development being like much faster at that point. I don't know. I'm not a biology guy, but that eighth grade definitely has a chance to make that definitely has a chance to make camp, and then IOI is also probably if you really work hard and you find out that you have a bit of talent, it's definitely possible.
And the next question is that what's the difference between what's the difference between IOI and potentially other computing coding competitions? By the way, if there's something that you're not allowed to say out of USACO, then that's fine. You can just skip it.
I mean, other computing coding competitions, I'm assuming you're talking about like sort of like USACO and Coforce's Ask contests. I mean, IOI is a pretty big mix because you have palm stars from all over the place. I mean, like there's like I think this year had like Japan, like Indonesia, and then like some other places. Um, I mean, every contest has its own style. I mean, IOI has a lot of interactive type problems that might not appear on monthly USACO contests. I mean, like there's a lot of like sort of like specific like ideas you have that like you're like, oh, this problem's similar to that problem. I can't, it's kind of hard for me to explain them. But the thing is, like, if you're good at computing in general, you'll probably be good at IOI. You don't have to worry about specifically training for anything.
Okay. So the next question is that is the Grandmaster program open to anyone who reach required level, or is there a separate exam to get in? How much time do you need to dedicate weekly to see results in the Grandmaster program? I'll quickly answer the first half, and then second half is better for Brian to answer because he pretty much experienced the end-to-end Grandmaster program. The first question is that is it open to anyone who reached a certain level, or is there a separate exam to get in? So typically we do not have a exam for that, but we do have a requirement that typically students, if it's out of XCamp, we expect them to at least pass silver, potentially probably close to passing gold. That would be even better. However, we do require the students and the parents to talk to the coach so that we can make sure we are all on the same page regarding the agreement for the students and the parents to commit to the program, because we do have a really high requirement for students to put in enough time and effort to do homework, to take lectures, to take mock tests, just like Brian did in the past. That means there's a kind of a consultation process that needs to be done, and only after you agree to the planning and you feel like it's good plan for the students to do, then we will let you in. And once you are in, then we really hope you can keep up with the pace of the whole group, because it's not something we, as Brian said, we want students to do on a whim. Instead, it needs to be something you really want to commit to it. And the second half is how much time do you need to dedicate weekly to see results in the Grandmaster program? Brian, according to your experience, how would you answer this?
This is a very hard question to answer because it does depend on a lot of like your background. Like if you're good at competitive math already, chances are you'll spend a lot less time than everyone else. I mean, I saw people spending like maybe like an hour or two a day who did end up getting into camp. I mean, I'm like very hand-waving estimating. I don't know how much time they actually spent. Like it's kind of hard to say for one person, but I mean, if you spend like 5 hours a day, you're probably, and you're like, you know, I'd assume if you're here, you're probably decently smart. So I think that would definitely be enough. But it really depends on the person. Again, for me, at like at the lows, it was like maybe 2 hours a week, and then at the highs, it was maybe like, or sorry, 2 hours per day, and then maybe like, yeah, 2 hours per day, and then at the high, like 8 hours. But that's if you want to like really try to go like as far as you can.
Sounds good.
But yeah, I mean, if you spend like, I feel like this is not something that it's like how much time do you need to spend weekly? I feel like you should decide how much time you want to spend weekly. And if you think that gets you the results you want to see, then you keep going with that.
So it's already 8 o'clock. Let's answer the last question. So, are there any girls in the IOI competition? And also, like any suggestion you can give for the girls?
Okay. So there were 3 IOI Gold Medalists I remember who were girls. I know one of them was, I think, was Provo Sislo from Slovakia. There was like, I think Dario from wait, no, Dario. Okay, from Russia, and then there was one other person whose name who escapes me. But they all got gold medals. So pretty good. There in the US at least, there's a big difference between like the attendees at camp and like the expected sort of distribution. I mean, I feel like the biggest thing with this is parents, right? Because for me at least, it was my parents who really taught me that I should like enjoy these kind of things and like really like got me started. And I needed that, right? Like if I was doing this by myself, I don't know if I would have like tried to do something like hard, you know. I'd prefer to do something a bit easier, but a lot of it is like your parents like encouraging you and telling you that you can do it and then like teaching you like sort of through the basics. So I think this is like an unconscious bias, right? Especially in like America where like boys are often expected to like have like big career goals, and you know, if you have those same ideas for daughters as well, you push them to do coding to like try and see if they like it. I think the gap will close very fast because I mean, out of the number of girls who are at IOI, the number who got gold medals is crazy. Like that the rate is like I think it was like 3 out of 5. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, and also, as Brian said, there are 3 gold medalists that are girls in IOI. So, and also we do have several, I think 1 EGOI gold medal last year, Tina, and the 1 silver medal this year. So we have lots of girls at X Camp who are studying coding, and we would highly recommend girls to study coding, just as a way to enhance or at least get into the STEM world. I think there's no difference between boys and girls as long as you put in enough time. Yeah, and also if you still have some questions, you can probably contact us and we will collect some questions and answer later. So today, that's all the questions we want to answer. And it's just a lot of time have passed our standard finish line. And thanks, Brian, for attending today's event. And Brian will always be the XCamp alumni community in the future as well. And in the future, when he has some free time, we'll also still invite him to attend some sharing sessions as well. Thanks everyone for attending today's event. It's really a pleasure. And we hope you can then get some takeaways from today's event. Thank you all and have a good weekend. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Let me stop share.